Welcome to Center Heist Productions. It's June 3rd, 2023. Please hit the likes and subscribes and help us grow our community. We'd muchly appreciate it. This topic is brought on with an update that a rumor came out of Montreal and it was revealed 2 Fridays ago. And every podcast is talking about it. And just listening to some of the podcasts is because there's definitely preferences being spin on it. Anywho, so first note I wanted to make, and it's kind of a personal note. Anybody that uses Samsung products in cell phones, I'm going to recommend you boycott them because I'm going to tell you, they seem to have different strokes for different folks when it comes to honoring their warranty. I bought one brand new January this year, and right from the time I bought it, called the provider because there was too many problems with the phone. So they recommended I call Samsung where I had the warranty. Well, I did that, followed them, and it was, went through hell. Bad treatment, bad customer service treatment. And finally, when I thought I was getting somewhere and they were just about to set me up, uh, had it all set up that I'd be getting a phone from Montreal. All of a sudden, the agent tells me that because it's Nova Scotia, there's no setup down here for loaner phones. So I was out of luck. I would have to send my phone and not have one in replacement. Well, I can't do that. I medically have issues that I need to be able to medically contact in emergency situations. So that just sounded ludicrous to me. That's not what I've never had that happen when I've bought, and I've bought Samsungs before. So I kind of knew I was getting dicked around. But anyhow, I had known a couple other. There's definitely been a change in their product. I could see have deteriorated in the way they're making them, very much so. This one is an AO3S, and it's garbage. And I'm stuck with it for 2 years. And I had purchased a warranty, and I'm out of luck. Yet I know two other folks having problems with their Samsungs, and they actually got the higher model, which I normally buy. And one particular person told me his phone's being sent off, and he lives only, a few blocks away, and they're sending him a loaner phone. So it shows you how they do business. It's hit or miss with them. And I just happened to be the unlucky guy that they didn't honor the warranty. So, for you, Samsung, I hope you go down because you're garbage, and I will never buy one of your phones again. Once this one's paid off, I will make sure I'm going back to Apple. Anywho, now let's get back to the big news, what the podcast is about. And the big news came out 2 weeks ago that on the pier that Montreal had been trying to make a deal for Pierre-Luc Dubois, supposedly by this one reporter, since the last draft up until now, and then that recently this was the offer of recent, supposedly. Remember, this is rumorville. It was Pierre-Luc Dubois for Josh Anderson, Dvorak, and that second first rounder we have from Florida, which I think is just utterly ludicrous. You talk about shovel day off. If there's any truth to this, wanting too much, come on, man. Where's Pierre-Luc Dubois? And I'll say this to the certain guys on their podcast who are totally, fully behind a French player movement and Pierre-Luc Dubois. They've been all for it. You tell me, where has he been in the playoffs? We don't need another Jonathan Drouin. There are no more Mario Lemieux and Guy Lafleurs being produced in Quebec at the moment. So we need to wait till that starts to happen again. Because Pierre-Luc Dubois, that's the highest level right now that exists of French players. They're just not producing top quality anymore right at the moment. If so, all I say is, where was he this playoff in Winnipeg? You didn't see him. I didn't notice him at all. Where was he in 2021 against Montreal? Didn't see him. Did nowhere at all. He is not there at the big moments, and he is an underachiever. So is Alex Lafreniere. I'll give Lafreniere a little bit of credit. He looked half decent for the Rangers, grinding it out on the boards. He had the grit, but both were way overrated, and they're both proven to be underachievers. So I say, be careful, Habs fans, what you wish for. Let's stay clear of this, and let's pray to God that Hughes and Gordon are much smarter than to fall for a trade like that to appease the French movement, because it's going to be another horror story nightmare like Jonathan Drouin, and we don't need it. We don't need it. Be careful what you wish for. John Tortorella said it well about Pierre-Luc Dubois. He even said it about Josh Anderson. To me, that would have been a one-for-one trade. Maybe you throw in a Stubble or something of that nature, but not. No, he's not worth Dvorak on top of it. And that first round pick, come on, that's an overpayment and a half. And Chevadeoff's been known for that. Nice guy, but known for it. But I think we got to be smarter. And I think Gordon's up to that challenge. And I think Hughes has that and will learn the way some of these GMs operate. But they are going to make a splash. We know it. We know it's coming. And now it just really concerns me. I'm praying to God there's no truth to it because we don't need it. Why make that? When worst case scenario, you get them in next year's off season for nothing. So to me, that would be wiser. To me, I'd stay clear of it totally and go. You got talent that will be coming up, and you can find something better that's consistent and proven. So to me, be careful what you wish for. Stay clear of the Pierre Luc Dubois trade. It's garbage, and we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot, and we're going to totally uh, be in despair once again if we make that move. Andrew Shaw said it quite well on because he got to know Jonathan Drouin and he knows a bit about Pierre Luc Dubois. And he said, stay clear of it. And he's made it quite clear Drouin was not what you want to think he was in the locker room and that he wasn't that type of team player that you think. So we don't need those type of guys. We're trying to build quality, right? That's what we want. Okay. And team players, right? So with that being said, so that's puts that story to bed. So let's hope to God they stay clear of it. Next story is going to be the three players. With like I say, you have to, Jonathan Drouin, Monahan, and Byron contracts up. Well, unfortunately, Monahan, you got to let him walk because of his health. Proven that he can play, just can't stay healthy. Most guys that have that hip surgery, unfortunately, can't. Let him walk. You can put your money to better things. Joanne, you have to let that nightmare walk. We need culture in our locker room, so we need to stay away from these guys, and that money can go towards signing Cole Caulfield, a much better use. Paul Byron, another guy who had that hip surgery, and unfortunately, it showed most guys this just doesn't work out after that surgery. But Paul Byron, I hope to God, and I'm praying. They say that the rumor that was probably about 3.5 weeks to 4 weeks ago was they were trying to set him up with a job within the organization somewhere, and I hope that's the case. Next would be Carey Price. I think we know it's now official. Where he sold his home in Montreal. You will never see Carey Price lace up again. His career is done. So he has when he sold the house, he had extensions and stuff being done on a property where his home was up in BC. So that's a clear message. He's done with hockey. However, I'd utilize him to work with the young goaltenders. I think that'd be a great, make him work for a little bit for that money he's at 10, 11 million he's getting. Make him work for it. Let him help the goaltenders out. That, to me, I utilize it. Next, we got the two signings that came out of Montreal this week, which was at the end of the week, was yesterday, Friday. Michael Pezzetta, well earned. Glad to see it. Congratulations, Michael. You deserved it. Um, again, hard work, and he shocked a lot of us. And a 2-year contract, and he'll be on that fourth line for the next 2 years. And that'll be about the time that the talent comes up into Montreal. So that's well deserved and shows his teammates. That's the culture you want in Montreal, not a pure Luc Dubois, Jonathan Drouin. You want poisonous character, you take guys like that. But you want good character, Pizzetta's an example. You just need to get the higher qualities of the Pizzettas, which you will. We got some signs of that with some players like Kirby Doc, and I couldn't even believe that name was also thrown out there for Pierre Luc Dubois. Not a chance would I go into that with a 10-foot pole. So next is we also got some good news in rumor land, if there's any truth to it, that the Habs are close to signing Cole Caulfield. Talks are going good. We also had surprising news that a lot of us thought it was going to be 8 or 9. He'd be getting more than Suzuki. Well, the word is that it's less than what Suzuki's got. So that's good news. And, really, in that regard, where he hasn't played a full season, I think he had to understand that is, maybe the potential is there of what he can do, but you got to prove it first. And so it'd be if that news is true, that'll be good. And it's rumored to be that it's a little bit under what Nick is making and at an 8-year contract. That would be nice. He'll have him long term, and let's hope that shoulder's good. So that's great news. Let's hope that's the way that goes and pans out. That's awesome news. Next news is not Hab news, but we wanted to head it anyway. Was the Toronto Maple Leafs shocked me a bit. Although Tree Living was interviewed, he got the job from Calgary, and he's not a bad GM. He will definitely, I think, help that organization a bit and make the tough decision of breaking up that top four where they're wasting all their money. And if I'm him, I'm thinking Austin Matthews, the odd man out, because here we go. We want to talk about guys not performing in the playoffs. Austin Matthews is the guy that's not performing for the Leafs in the playoffs. And what you could get a boatload for him, you'd fix your back end defense. You'd get that number one defenseman. You'd get a good top goalie, and you'd probably bring a cup to Toronto. Now, you guys got to stop getting on John Tavares' case. He's been a great captain. Austin Matthews is no leader, does have no leadership qualities whatsoever. Tavares does, and he shows up for the playoffs every time. So I'm so sick of hearing that story. Uh, Next, Mitch Mariner, for the first time, woke up this playoff and had a real good one. He worked very hard and took, for a little guy, he was doing the hitting. I was proud of him. Good job for him. So that's why I say, to me, I keep Tavares and Mariner for sure. Matthews would solve the whole problem if you unloaded in. Then they had the chance when Dubas had the chance of not signing. He could have traded off Nylander immediately, and he should have, because Nylander's making that contract at the time was way above what he was worth. He shot himself in the foot when he signed that one, and even going after Tavares with what he had there. But then again, I would have unloaded Matthews, seeing what was going on with Matthews. However, that's Toronto's problems. And the good news for us was I think they made a mistake in the sense that I think actually who would have been perfect for that job would have been Mark Bergevin. And thankfully for us Habs fans, we don't have to live with that nightmare being over our head that if he would have fixed that team and won them a cup, we would have been just in major pain. So thank God in that sense, because I think Mark Bergevin would have been the guy. He can't draft. He's horrible with the teams he brings in the draft. He's not strong in that department, but plug in holes with a team that's already got talent. That's in Toronto's case. That team would win a cup under Mark Bergevin. I'm kind of pretty sure he would. He was good at plugging holes, and that's what they needed to do. And was good at making the tough decision, of getting rid of the star players. Like he had no problem getting rid of Subban. So yeah, I don't think he would have been afraid of nailing a trade with Austin Matthews. Anyhow, with that being said, that's Toronto's problems and Toronto's news. I just wanted to go into it a bit because it was interesting news. And so and Tree Living will do an all right job though. I think he'll do a better job than Dubas, but time's running out. That's the only problem, and he has to break up the four. Okay, next we talk about the Stanley Cup Final, which is tonight, Florida and Vegas. I'm rooting for Florida because they're the underdog. I love what they did. If Bobrovsky stands on his head, which I hope he does, but it's hard to say because that Vegas team is solid. And Kitchuk brings the little bit of the fire that he's brought. Wouldn't it be nice? Because I like what those two have brought to the game. And Verhage, that's been an incredible player for Florida. Verhage's really impressed me. And their defense has played really well. So I'm hoping for them, even though I know they screwed our first round draft pick. But they're kind of the Cinderella story. And at this point, where none of our picks were right. And we were I picked New York to win the cup. Woo, gone. And then next, Toronto, gone. Not pretty. So, and I still thought Colorado would go farther, but I thought Edmonton was going to be coming out of the West. But I thought it was between Edmonton and the Knights, and the Knights are there. The Knights, at least, is the one team I picked that have gone the distance. So, with saying that, I'm going for Florida because they are the underdogs, and just the teams they've knocked out has just been an incredible story. Vegas, deep as hell, though. Deep as hell, what can you say? And I knew last year was a joke. They were injury. Yeah, and they had major injuries up to Yang Yang, and that's why they missed. And I said that to people. They'll be back. Don't kid yourself. That team is deep. They needed to get a goalie, and they did with that young fellow that they have there in the net. Um, I can see him. Anyway, that kid's doing really well. I don't think he's to the level of Bobrovsky, but they're so deep all the way around. And I'm projecting that Vegas will win it in 6 or 7. That's my pick, just due to the depth. But hey, look at the depth Carolina had. I picked Carolina. Look at the depth that Toronto had. Um, the stardom power they had. Look at Boston, how deep Boston was, and that Florida went through them. So this could be interesting. But I picked Vegas in 6 or 7. Be a good series. But I'm praying to God for the Cinderella team. That's who I'm rooting for. I'm expecting Vegas to win, but rooting for Florida. Okay, next we'll talk about after that has all been said and done. Again, the draft is coming up. Expect a big splash from the Habs. And hey, you should be excited. It's only 25 days away. We're in June, guys. Get ready. I'm getting pumped. The news should start happening. So let's be prepared. And I think things are really going to fire up right at draft day there, probably, because the Habs are holding their cards to the table. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was Mitchkov. It's at this draft. It depends on where those top 5. I honestly think, well, we know Bedard's going to Chicago. Fantilli is almost a sure thing of going to Anaheim, although Anaheim has been the one team that has mentioned they were willing to trade. Keep an eye on that. So that would be interesting. But if they don't trade, I think it's a 99% sure they're going to take Fantilli, which is going to leave Carlson, Will Smith, and Mitchkov. I don't know what order those guys go in. I have a suspicion Carlson will be 3. That's the other guy other than Mitchkov that I really like. I've liked Mitchkov and Carlson. I've watched Carlson since last year, and I'm really impressed with him. Big 6'3" center. That would be wonderful. But I knew Mitchkov was the closest talent to Bedard. So I say, no matter how that pans out, whoever drops to the 5th, the last guy out of those 3, we have to take him. That's a bottom dollar. You can't pass up on him, Habs. You cannot think of going to Dvorsky. You cannot think of going to Benson. The talent level after 5 drops so horrendously, it would be another Kachuk, Galchenyuk type of nightmare of missing out on hitting a goal, a gem. And Mitchkov's too good. You have to take the risk. The talent's too high. So for me, I say, please, please don't make that mistake. Hughes and Gordon, we need this. We need one of those 5 guys. We're in that ballpark, and I wouldn't mind seeing us trade up to get a second guy. Do what you got to do. And you can load on that bottom draft into that package to get up in there somewhere. Maybe you get yourself pushed up to 3. And like I say, you got to remember, Anaheim's been the team that mentioned their willingness to make a trade, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks are in that boat too. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me, and that'll be the end of this tape. We will see you at the next time, and hey, go Habs, go! Like, what can you say? The excitement is draft time's coming, and the Stanley Cup game 1 is tonight. Enjoy yourselves. God bless you all. Where's the puck drop first? Please hit the likes and subscribes.